Hey everyone, RogueGold here, welcome back to the Division 2, and today, if you couldn't tell by that intro, the 5 times XP event is live in the game. Now, we have gone over this in a past few videos, but since it is now active in this video, I want to go through all of the information you need to know and give some recommendations for what content you might want to play while this is live. So we're just going to get right to it and let you know the information that you need to know given that the clock is ticking. From right now, when you're watching this video, until Monday, September 30th, all shade experience that you earn in the Division 2, which means the levels that you earn in the endgame, you do need a character to be at level 40, is going to be increased by 5 times. Now, I've gotten many questions about this. This does not directly impact your expertise or proficiency leveling. This is purely for shade experience. And there is a cap to this event, but it's at 1,000 levels, right? So you have a very high ceiling. The icing on the cake here is that this is running concurrently to the Golden Bullet Global event. So not only are you earning shade levels at a much faster rate, but you're also earning tons and tons of global event stars to spend on caches with rare materials, exotics, and more. So we're going to go through all of that and let you know some of the best ways to tackle it. Firstly, we'll take a peek in-game. If your character is at level 40, you'll see in your seasonal calendar menu that the 5 times XP event is active. You don't need to do anything special to turn it on. And that means that any shade experience you earn in the game will be multiplied by 5 until Monday the 30th, or until you've leveled up 1,000 times, whichever comes first. That means that even if you wanted to do PvP content like DZ landmarks or conflict, those are great for XP and you can absolutely do those. But you do have to keep in mind that Golden Bullet is active as well, and global events only apply to PvE content. Now, you do not have to play with Golden Bullet if you don't want to, but not only do global events have a 10-tier reward track of valuable caches to earn, but when playing with a global event, you earn 1 star for every shade level that you pass, meaning that your star rate is inherently increased by 5 times as well during the duration of this event. And you can take those stars to this vendor right here in the base of operations and buy named item caches, optimization caches, exotic caches, or whatever you need. So given the rarity of this kind of an event, right, the Division 2 does not do XP events very often, and the franchise has never done a 5 times one, I suggest that you take the most amount of advantage of this as possible while it's here. And if you do want to do that, here are the steps you're going to need to take. Alright, so firstly, if you're wondering what kind of build you should run during this event, I actually made a video about that just the other day. I'll link it in the upper corner and down in the description, but in that video, I give you 2 different loadout recommendations depending on what kind of experience you want during this farming event. So yeah, be sure to check that out if you need build ideas. Alright, so in-game there are going to be 3 different steps that everybody needs to take before you get going on this farm. The first, simple one, is to make sure that you actually activate Golden Bullet. So if you don't know how to do this, you go into your seasons menu right here, you just tap to the Golden Bullet node which says it's ongoing, click on it, and at the bottom you'll see you can click the button to activate. For me that is X on controller, for you on PC it's likely something different, but it will tell you down at the bottom. You hit that, it'll start the 10-second countdown to activate it. And once that goes and you go through the loading screen, you're all set. It says activated, and up at the upper left corner next to my difficulty, you'll see that the icon is lit up in that pink color. That means it's active. Next up, you're going to have to choose some of your difficulties for the overall world and content that you're playing. So when you open up your map at the bottom, for me it's right on D-pad, opens up global settings, and you have 2 different categories to look at here. The first is the overall global difficulty. Now what I always stress for this is that you need to pick a difficulty that you are going to be efficient at, right? It's not necessarily what is the highest difficulty that I can possibly take on, because if you can maybe go toe-to-toe on heroic, but you're dying every 3rd mission control point you take on, whatever it is, then that doesn't make for a super effective farm, right? So maybe for you it's challenging, maybe it's hard, whatever it is, just pick a difficulty that you can consistently perform well at and that you can keep going for long periods of time, because that's the whole point of a farm. Alright, the other thing to consider then is directives. Now we covered these in that build video yesterday. In case you're going to use one of those build templates, I kind of gave recommended directive loadouts for each of those 2 builds. These are going to be highly dependent on what you choose to take into this farm, what kind of experience you want from it. Some people might want no directives, and that's totally fine, but the more you apply, the more XP you're going to get on top of the 5 times that this event is already offering you. I think personally that Ragers and Fog of War is one that almost any build should have active. They're very easy to work around. Fog of War just reduces some of the minimap directional indicators, and Ragers just gives a few extra enemies a few extra points of health, which is, you know, pretty fine since you're running Golden Bullet. You should melt through them anyway. If you're running a bit more of a specialized build like I showed in that video the other day, then running cool skills and ammo hoarders can work out pretty well too. Fragile armor, it's hard to recommend because it's bugged. It will, serve as a detriment to your experience, but use that if you like. But like I said, this entire thing is all up to you. Just make sure that you select the ones that you want before you head out to farm. Alright, now when it comes to the actual content that you're going to want to play during this event, of course you can play whatever you want. But if you want specific recommendations on what is going to get you some of the most amount of XP for your time spent, here are two of my top picks. The first is control points. Now these have a variety of reasons why they're very good to play. For one is the ease of access, right? You don't have to hunt these things down. They're at static locations that you can easily travel between. They have controlled enemy spawns, right? You know where the enemies are going to be coming from. You don't have to go and hunt them down, especially if you're not using the Fog of War directive. They grant you not only lots of loot, but very solid experience for the amount of time that you spend on these. With Golden Bullet active, you can easily get these cleared in 2 to 3 minutes on Heroic. Control points are very approachable whether you're solo or in a group. They're very scalable for those different group sizes. And in general, it's just a very casual and mindless farm, right? You don't have to think a lot when you're going between them or when you're there doing it. You just get in the groove and get going. And for the majority of people watching this video, this is personally what I recommend. This is what I'm going to be farming throughout this weekend. However, let's say you want to take things up a notch and take it to that next level. Maybe you're running that specialized build that I showed you in the video back on Wednesday. My other recommendation is public executions. Now here's the deal with these. They are harder to track down in quick succession, right? You're going to have to get used to where some of their spawn points are and consistently and quickly travel between them. There is an additional layer of unpredictability with these because they're in the open world, right? It can be more dangerous on higher difficulties if you have a random patrol come up behind you. You're likely going to earn less loot from these, but their biggest benefit is that they will award you the maximum possible experience for the time spent. Obviously in that statement, I'm not including any questionable XP farms that might be out there, but in terms of actual game content, at the rate at which you can complete these should grant you the highest amount of XP per minute. So even though it is less than control points, that is because you can do them a lot faster, but that requires you to be very adept in terms of traveling between them, like we were saying. I tend to think that these activities work better solo. You can do it in a group, but that group needs to be highly organized and swift, again, to travel between them. You don't want to be waiting around for people to catch up to you. And these are definitely a bit less mindless, right? You have to be a lot more intentional and quick when it comes to hunting down these activities. But like I said, if you want that intense experience this weekend, if you've got the build ready to go, then feel free to take these on. And that is just about everything, my friends. That is a breakdown of the 5x XP event, some of the prep that you're going to need to take in-game, and some content recommendations for what to play to take the most advantage of it. Again, if you're scratching your head trying to come up with what builds you want to use across this weekend, then feel free to check out that other video I made. It's got some great ones in there. And get to it. The clock is ticking. You have less than 72 hours until this event ends. If you have any further questions about anything that we went over in this video, certainly let me know down below and I will do my best to illuminate. And if you're so inclined, let me know what your plans are for this weekend in terms of what content you think you might want to farm, what sort of builds you're going to run. I would be very curious to hear it. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see future guides and content like it in the future, then I would be greatly appreciative of you clicking that subscribe button if you haven't already. But that is going to do it for me today, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. RogueGold. Ow.